Welcome to the show. Hi, I'm Randy Jeffers, and we are live from the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, Janet, it is so great to have you here. We have with us Janice Franco.
Yes.
And that Franco is sort of a familiar sounding name. I think there was some acrobat family that had that
Yes.
name. Does that have
Yes.
anything to do with you?
Yes, it does, Randy. My brothers and I were actually considered the Flying Francos. I had a half of my life was a professional acrobat and traveled a lot of the world as
So-
a
so-
teenager. So I just grew up really fast because
I'll
of
bet.
it, and it taught me a lot of how to take care of myself and strength and being a
Uh-huh.
personality on the stage. You just learn all about people. So
Yeah.
it was a really good thing for what I do now. It was a great training ground for
That
me.
had to be an exciting life, huh?
Yeah, yeah, I loved it.
So you have another name, you also known as Soulful Rosie.
Rosie,
That's
yes.
right. And tell us how that came about.
Well, I've been working with children and abused women and now veterans for 12 years. And I've been doing radio a long time, and I just didn't want it to be about me.
Uh-huh.
So when they asked me to be a voice for the veterans, I really decided let's make it about the mission.
Yeah.
And I used to have a radio show called Soulful Intentions, helping people to find their divine purpose in their life. And then we launched the Rose of Love Tribute in honor of America. So I put the two together, and Soulful Rosie came out of that.
Soulful Rosie.
So it's a character now on our website, so it's pretty fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely. So this is a really great show. You may want to get out a piece of paper and a pencil or pen and take some notes, because we're going to talk about something that just is really important, and that's something that has always interested me, the hyperbaric chamber, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
for those of us that are just sort of novices that may have heard about it but don't really know what it is, how would you describe it?
Well, the good news is my partner, he's a combat fighter pilot, former Vietnam colonel, retired colonel.
Wow.
And he's going to be calling in about 20 minutes to get into the depth of hyperbaric. I know a lot about hyperbaric, but he's got a different viewpoint, because when you look back on hyperbaric and pressurized oxygen, it goes way back in the 1700s.
Yeah.
They used to use it actually when a lot of our soldiers were on the ground after battle and they weren't dead, but they discovered if they could just oxygenate their body somehow, it could restore a lot of the shell shock, if you will. Back they used to call it shell shock, and now it's PTS or traumatic brain injury or concussed brain. But hyperbaric basically is a pressurized chamber, which a lot of people have been seeing it because we're treating the NFL alumni right now. We're treating a lot of athletes and veterans. With the hyperbaric, it's a pressurized unit. So when you take oxygen in just normally, we take about a 20% oxygen out of the air is what we need to be healthy. Well, what happens is when we have things like traumatic brain injury or asthma or diabetes, but happening, the extremities of the body is not getting enough oxygen into the blood and into the cells. So what pressurized oxygen does is over a period of time, it takes the oxygen through the red blood cells into the plasma. When the plasma then can increase to 15%, then the plasma takes it to the extremities, and that's where we're seeing the neural pathways that are blocked from traumatic brain injury. It opens up those neural pathways and builds capillaries, and that's the magic of stem cells. Stem cell starts growing after the 40th treatment is when stem cells starts growing. To date, we have between 2,800 and 3,000 soldiers that have been restored with hyperbaric oxygen
Wow.
therapy. That's really big news.
It's a big number. Wow.
It's been a long journey for these doctors, but I'm really honored, Randy, to work with such a coalition. It's been going on for so long. Dr. Paul Harch out of New Orleans, Louisiana, he's our godfather, if you will, of the industry. And so he's been, studying and researching many different conditions, not just traumatic brain injury. And so during this show, I'd like to get into a little bit about what we're doing, not just with traumatic brain injury, but across the board with autism and near-drowned babies and all these things that are starting to it's miraculous. So we're in a historical time.
Well, it sounds like it. What are some of the major diseases that it works best with?
Well, I'm not a doctor, so I'll put that disclaimer right now, but through research and Dr. Paul Harch, again, his studies have shown that we're seeing a lot of great success with diabetic foot wounds, diabetes, neuropathy, where the body just doesn't have enough oxygen. We're seeing, in fact, I had a partner of mine that had such bad diabetes that he didn't feel his feet. He could put a hammer to his foot and he couldn't feel it.
Wow.
So he had one 50-minute dive. By the way, one treatment is called a dive because you're
Okay.
going for every 33 feet is 1%, if you will. So what he did is he went into the chamber one time and he could feel his feet after one 50-minute session. So with diabetes, and I have some numbers here that we're going to share throughout the show, but we are living in a very, very disruptive time in America. I'm claiming that America is heartbroken right now with these shootings and with all that's going on. Hyperbaric is doing phenomenal things for mental health right now. You know,
Yeah.
the Shady Hook, back in the day when those babies were massacred, I watched that show, that newscast, and I was bawling my eyes out, and I said, I've got to make a difference. I've got to do something about this because there are answers out there, but we need to raise the awareness like we're doing today to share with the people about this. So mental illness, we've had some great results. Diabetic foot wounds, we have great results. Autism, we're getting great results. Parkinson's, we're getting great results. Cerebral palsy, we have 2,500 babies out of wheelchairs with cerebral palsy. So, and again, it's not a claim, it's science that's proving now when you can take the oxygen into the plasma, oxygen is the life. It's what we get when we're born, we start breathing, and that's the oxygen. So the science that all of these doctors around the world have been doing now for over 100 years now, we now can say we understand the science. And it just gets better every day. So there's many, many elements, but that's the major ones.
So let me ask you a question now. Let's say that I want a treatment. I have something that I think needs to be treated, and I come for a treatment. What actually am I going to be doing? I am crawling into some. You call it a chamber, right?
Yes,
So I'm
yes,
crawling
yes.
into this machine.
You
Okay.
lay on. In fact, I have a picture here.
Okay.
I'm gonna. Is that? Okay. Right there. That's actually Dr. Harch. He's our top doctor in the world out of New Orleans. That's a chamber right there. It's called a mono chamber.
Uh-huh.
Mono meaning one.
Right.
There are other types of chambers, like back in the Navy, they would use these decompression capsules that were all, metal. But now they have the acrylic where you can see through, watch a movie. As long as it's outside the chamber, you can watch it. They have what they call multi-place chambers that seats anywhere from 2 people, 4 people. The largest one I know of now in America is about a 21-seater chamber that's
My
being
goodness.
restored right now.
So it's a
Yeah.
big room where it's all
Uh-huh.
in an enclosed environment. And
Yeah, speaking of that, we work with a very, very brilliant man. His name is Steve Reimers. And Steve Reimers designs chambers, he installs them, he builds them, he fixes them. And we've talked about now hyper lounging, if you will, a room. So like this room here could be pressurized at a 1.3, 1.5 pressure. And that's an interesting statement too. 1.5 is usually what is used for traumatic brain injury. If you go and you go higher than that or more pressure than that, like 2.2, 2.3, that would cause the brain to get too much of a shock. It's too much oxygen at one time. So Dr. Hart's protocol for traumatic brain injury is 80 dives or 80 treatments at 1.5 pressure at 50 minutes a dive. So with that said, he starts to see great results right away. I mean, we're seeing them get it, the depression part of their lives and the sleeplessness, that's starting to reside in about 2 weeks
my goodness, wow.
because the brain is starting to feel the oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
But he says it's so vital because after the first 40 dives, a lot of these veterans are feeling so good that they stop. They have to give it a 2 to 3 week integration period before the second set of 40. Because in the second set of 40 is when the stem cell starts doing its magic. It's almost like fertilizer to the cell. It starts building new cell, new capillaries. So there are different types of chambers. So if you came in, let's say you came into our center, you would come in and you would put on a, like a little scrub, and you get in this chamber, whether you lay down or there's ones that you can sit up, and you're in there for 50 minutes, 50.
50 minutes,
50
okay.
minutes. So we say treatments are about an hour.
Uh-huh.
Now diabetics, they go to a deeper dive for less treatments. We have people, if people Google Joe Namath, I mean, he's had 180 dives and his brain has been restored down at Jupiter Medical Center down in Florida. So we're starting to really, the word's getting out.
And when you say the word dive,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of interesting because there are divers that dive down into the ocean. And they experience a lot of pressure when they do. Does
Yes.
it have something to do with that?
Yes, it
Something
does.
similar?
It's a good question.
Okay.
1 atmosphere is 33 feet.
So if you dove down 33 feet,
Yes, it would be
Okay.
one pressure. So if you go 1.5, which is 1.5 times the pressure we breathe.
right?
Okay, if it's 2, it's 2 degrees below. So it's 33 feet. 66 feet would be 2.0 dive. So it's the pressure that the hyperbaric installs in your body is the level that they put at. So if you go in and you have diabetes, the pressure would be about probably a 2.2, 2.3 for diabetic wounds. Whereas traumatic brain injury, like I said before, you got to lighten that up because the brain is just too sensitive in the beginning to take that type of pressure. So the other thing
Wow.
too, Randy, we're doing, we're complementing hyperbaric with neurofeedback. Neurofeedback is brilliant. I don't know if you've heard of what's going on.
A
with
little
neuro-
bit, yeah.
Yeah, you understand it. Well, neurofeedback, we can now do a brain map. Okay, you put these probes on the head, and the brain waves are picked up by this brain machine, and it'll literally read out your condition of your brain. Like you go and you get a car and you put it on a diagnostic. We can do a diagnostic on the brain now. It shows brain injury. It shows the different quadrants of the brain, whether you're sleeping. It'll show whether you're sleeping or not. It'll show if you're lacking serotonin. It'll show all these things.
Wow.
And then the next document that it sends out is how many treatments it takes to restore your body. So it resets the neural pathways to the rest of the body, to the rest of the organs, so that it's all aligned like a car. You know, when you're driving a car that's not tuned up, it's spitting.
Right,
Same
right.
thing with the body. Same thing. So it's,
Very interesting.
yeah, it's pretty big.
Well, I noticed you have a little colorful
Yes.
picture of a couple of brains there. One looks better than the other.
Yeah.
What do you-
Okay,
what's going
so
on there?
this is a SPECT scan, and a SPECT scan is a diagnostic tool we use to be able to look at the brain to see about where the actual brain is missing oxygen.
Uh-huh.
So this one on, I guess their left would be, this is a damaged brain here.
Yeah, that looks pretty damaged.
Pretty bad,
Yeah.
pretty bad. Now this is a perfect brain after 80 treatments or 80 dives. So
80?
this is 80. So this is an 80 treatment.
Now, how long a period of time? How long did it take to do the 80?
Well, people can either, that's been changing. They originally did 1 dive or 1 treatment a day for 40 dives and then took a break and did another 40. But we're having some technicians that are doing 2 dives a day, and they go for 20 and they take the break, and then they go 20 more.
I see.
So it depends on the injury. We have, I'm gonna have Barry talk about it. We have a judge down in Florida that's actually on the chair in Florida. That's an active military, and he was called off to Afghanistan and was injured.
Wow.
And when he came back, he was pretty bad. And anyway, so he had hyperbaric, and I don't know how long it took him. It was, I think, 6 months. He's back in the chair again.
Oh, so
Yeah.
it sort of does miracles, huh?
Well, you know, I tell people you can go without food for actually quite a while, go without water for a little bit, but put your hand over your mouth and see how long you last.
Yeah.
And it's vital to be able to oxygenate the body, especially with things like chemtrails and the smog in the air and people's lack of exercise. I mean, we're an obese country. This country is just so obese. In fact, I have some numbers here that are pretty scary. We have 1 in 5 right now with mental illness in the country. I pulled these statistics up before I came. I wanted to get the most recent. Before we went on the air, I asked you how many shootings we've had in the country over the last couple years. 1,624 shootings in America in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So I really, I'm kind of on a soapbox today because we are heartbroken as Americans. We need to come together, and we have answers for mental illness now. It's really not my personal feeling. You know, guns don't kill people, people do. So we have to really start regulating and because we now have the technology, Randy, to see the brain. We know if that brain has the capacity to go out and kill somebody now. We have that technology.
Wow.
We should be using it. This is something that, you know, most of these schools and you look back at these people that have doing these shootings, they've had mental illness for a long time, but nobody took
Nobody caught it,
heed
huh?
to do it. And, you know, I don't know about you. I have 4 sons, and I just couldn't imagine. I just couldn't imagine.
No, absolutely. Now, are governments, cities, states, school districts, or any of them using this technology?
It's a good question. We have been, and I want to show another picture here as I'm talking about this. This gentleman became near and dear to me before he passed away. This is the former Secretary of the Army. His name is Honorable Martin Hoffman. He served under President Ford, and Marty Hoffman was the leader in the hyperbaric movement.
Uh-huh.
He actually saw the changes in the brain of these soldiers that he was working with. And he was absolutely so stunned at this unprecedented treatment that was safe, that was effective. And he said, we have to get this across America. This has to happen. The suicide rate, Las Vegas is number one for suicide rate amongst veterans, teenagers, and seniors. We're
Really?
number one.
Is that right? Wow.
We're number one. Colorado Springs is number two for suicide amongst veterans. And so what Marty Hoffman wanted to do is he wanted to start passing legislation to pass the TBI bill across America. And he was helpful in getting the very first one through in the state of Oklahoma. But since his passing, a lot of that stuff has changed a bit. So what my commission has been, we have doctors and scientists and experts all over the world. That's all they do is research on hyperbaric. And we're finding such amazing results. So what my job is to get on the air with you and with the communities and radio and start telling people the good news. We are a heartbroken nation, and we could restore this country as we restore the families and we restore the brains of those people, because you know, these veterans, when they go to jail, which we have 700,000 incarcerated veterans right now in this country, 800,000 on the verge of suicide right as we speak. We are in epidemic proportions, according to the former secretary. We need to do something now. But when these people go to jail, the whole family goes to jail. You know,
Yeah,
you're only as
they're all
happy as your
affected, aren't
weakest family member, right?
Right.
So we are, Imagine Now, Nurturing Our Warriors is our 501c3 nonprofit. So our passion...
Let's say that one more time now. Nurturing
Our Warriors.
Warriors.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's NOW. And because now we're treating near-drowned babies, and we're treating diabetes, and we're treating autism, now it's Nurturing Our World, NOW. It just expanded.
Very good. Now, let me just ask you, let's do a little quick commercial if we can, because
Sure.
you must have a website. Where can we
Yes.
send people to that are very interested in this, want to know more about it, maybe want to have a treatment or want
Yes.
to talk to you, ask some questions?
Yes.
How do they get a hold of you?
Please go to helpwarriorsnow.org. That's helpwarriorsnow.org.
Okay.
Or you can call us at 800-206-1082. That's 800-206-1082. Please, if you know somebody in trouble or somebody that needs treatment, please call us, because if we can't do it here, we'll find somewhere in the country that they can get treatment.
So anywhere in the country they can call you?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Fabulous. Well, that's great. Okay. Well, I cut you off there. So what you were about to say something really amazing, I think.
Well, okay, so I have some statistics here that it's pretty crazy. Homelessness among veterans is about 40,000 right now.
Wow.
40,000. The good news about the VA is they started a program called HUD-VASH. It's housing for homeless veterans. So, especially in this state, they can go now to the VA and they can get housing. They can get housing vouchers. So any homeless veterans that you know, they can get this now. The VA is starting to reimburse for hyperbaric. And this is big, Randy. This is over 4 decades trying to do this. So the VA is finally acknowledging that hyperbaric has got the proper facts to work. And so not all states, but certain states are starting to reimburse for hyperbaric for traumatic brain injury, for neurofeedback, acupuncture, and chiropractic, and stem cell. So I know we're living in the best state in the union for the reimbursements is Nevada. I don't know, I go all over the country and I'm trying to get into every VA so I can take it back to our veterans of because a lot of veterans don't know what they can get. They don't know these things.
You know, I was going to ask you if a veteran is going to a particular VA hospital
Yes.
and doesn't know about this, are they going to tell him, or is it something that he's going to need to know?
Oh, okay. I won't say the VA I was at, but I spent about 4 hours at a VA last week, and they don't really understand the protocol of certain things. And so the best thing for people to do that know about this is to call us, and we could help walk them through this.
Okay.
We have people that know how to do this. The hyperbaric community is blowing up all over the internet right now, and the VA is just starting to. They do cover for like heavy burns, like really bad burns, or the certain infections that they cover. There's 14 indications that are covered by insurance for hyperbaric, but not traumatic brain injury up until our lobbying. Not traumatic brain injury, not post-traumatic stress. So any veteran out there, or you're married to a veteran and have a veteran in your family, please do not wait to get help, because neurofeedback is amazing. It helps right away. I know when I had brain injury from being an acrobat, I had terribly sleepless nights. I never slept.
Bad.
And after about 3 neurofeedback sessions, I was sleeping like a baby.
Wow.
So there are things we can do. We have a product that we just found. I've been doing radio 28 years on all of these amazing breakthroughs, but recently I found a product called STEM Active, and it comes from a laminin peptide out of a Norwegian hen. 11-day-old hen offers this peptide, and it actually feeds the stem cells in your body. And I was in a pretty bad car accident about 9 months ago, and I was drugged across the street on my knees with this car. It's terrible, but my knees were like 5 times the size. It was terrible. So somebody gave me a bottle of this, and in 72 hours, I hardly knew I had an injury.
My goodness. Wow.
Yeah. So there's things that we can do to help them if they can't get in a chamber right away. There's things that we could start doing to at least, rid the sting of suicide. I know in Nevada, a couple of our legislatures have talked about suicide here is about 1 every 3 days in Las Vegas. And Colorado Springs is right after that, and I don't know why. It's such a beautiful place, but we have to get a handle on this. According to the former secretary, he said to me, Janet, we're losing our military. So many kids that are signing up for the service are full of drugs, so they can't take them.
Yeah.
Right? And we're losing, since I started this mission 12 years ago, we've lost over 408,000 veterans to suicide.
In how long?
In about 12 years that I've been doing
My
this.
goodness.
We're losing about 10 to 1 casualties to suicide.
My goodness. What a big number.
It's a terrible thing.
So, in order to take advantage of the hyperbaric process, you obviously need a chamber. So,
Yes.
are the VA hospitals, do they have chambers?
Good question. Some of them do.
Some do.
I know we had a couple of them out here, and those people that are hearing the show from Las Vegas, we need to push the VA to get these back. I did meet with one of the heads of the VA out here, and they used to have 2 chambers here. And my question was at a town hall meeting, where's the chambers? And no response. And I found out later they said they couldn't afford it. But I have a hard time with that because your average vet is on now 20 to 25 meds a day. You do those numbers. It costs the taxpayer $60,000 a year to take care of every disabled vet in the country. And that's in the millions. And so what they can do, people can call the VA and just demand these to come back. What we're trying to do in the interim is open Imagine Now centers so that we can start treating veterans and get our doctor's choice approved so that we can get reimbursement for this.
Right.
That's what we're doing right now. So I just came back to Vegas to do this. So because the city is just horrible with suicide and depression and, just drugs and all of it, it's a mess. So we want to, be there for the people.
Wow. Well, what a cause. I mean, it's just amazing.
It's a huge undertaking.
It's a huge undertaking. So, when do you plan on having the first center open in Vegas?
We actually have a doctor here, Dr. Matt Okeke. He's a 28-year psychiatrist. He's been in practice a long time, a very benevolent man. He's from Nigeria, so he's got this real passion to bring mental illness into like a 5-star treatment. So we've been working with him, and he's got about 10,000 patients. One doctor, 10,000 patients.
He's a
What's
busy
that?
guy.
What's that telling us?
Yeah.
Mental illness. So he said, "Well, Janet, we're very limited on what we can do." I said, "What about bringing a wellness department as a part of your clinic?" And he's like, "I'm all about it." And so we're bringing in a portable chamber from El Paso, and we can pull it with a regular sized truck and pull it right into the parking lot, plug it in, and start treating. So that should be happening over the next few weeks.
Wow.
So he is doing neurofeedback there right now, and so any veterans that need neurofeedback, they can get a hold of me, and I can turn you on to Dr. Matt Okeke. He is treating some of the shooting victims right now. So he just says, Janet, it's a much bigger problem than anybody could ever imagine.
Well, it sure sounds like it.
Yeah.
Well, once again, now to get a hold of Janet, they contact you. They can get your information on the website, right?
Yes,
And that
yes.
is once again
helpwarriorsnow.org.
.org,
Helpwarriorsnow.org.
not
Yeah.
.com, right?
I think we have all of them.
Okay.
So Google will take you there. But the phone number is 800-206-1082. It's 800-206-1082.
Okay, very, very good.
Okay, so I'm just waiting for Barry to call in. But can I tell the story about Eden Carlson?
Absolutely, please.
This is a great story. You're all about children. I mean,
I am.
I have 4. We're all about kids, right?
Right.
We had a baby, Eden Carlson. I believe she was about 2. She drowned in the pool, her house in the backyard, and her mom was in the shower, and she got out and she drowned. And she was actually pronounced dead for several hours. They were able to, and I don't know how, but they were able to find Dr. Harch, and in enough time to be able to talk to him, and he told them, because they were not in the same state, to get her on cannular oxygen on the mouth. And so they did, and 21 days later, she was starting to recuperate, she was starting to breathe again, enough where they can transport her over to New Orleans to be treated by Dr. Harch. He worked with her for about a year and a half, Dr. Harch and Dr. Fogarty, and long and behold, her brain has been completely restored, medical history, and she was on the Today Show about 4 months ago. And
Wow.
so we are so proud of this. Just, it's like our shining day in the military community.
So
in the hyperbaric community.
you said she's pronounced dead. So the
Heart.
paramedics came and they took her away.
Yes, heart dead, brain dead. Yeah,
My goodness.
yeah. She was,
How
she
did
was-
how did that come about? That somebody called somebody and
You know, that little
That's a miracle
detail.
in
I know
itself, yeah.
that little detail. I'm not really familiar with. But from that episode with Eden, there's over 100 babies now in the country being treated for near drowning.
Wow.
One of them is our baby Christopher Salmon here in Las Vegas. He's become near and dear to me. They heard, I guess their family, when Christopher was in the hospital, the family's friends saw the show on the Today Show, and they called him right away. So they called Dr. Harch, and then they got hold of me. So now Christopher Salmon now is in a coma at home, hospice, for 6 weeks. He was as hard as this table. His body was stone, and his eyes, he couldn't blink anymore. They had to put drops to make his eyes blink a little bit. And on our website, there's a picture of Christopher. And it broke my heart. And we couldn't even get oxygen to him. Nobody would give him oxygen. So, long and behold, we had this nonprofit that donated the oxygen, came over and hooked him up. And got him on the STEM Active, just it's a natural organic product. Gave him that, and he was moving within 3 days.
my goodness.
Yeah. So he was on cannular oxygen 21 days, and then we took him down to Southern California to Mark Westaway to be treated. Mark Westaway has a hyperbaric center in Mission Viejo and in Irvine. He's been in hyperbaric 40 years. He's been treating near drowned babies, he said, for 9 years. Treats the NFL, a lot of veterans. So we take baby Christopher down there. He's had about 50 treatments, and he's starting to track again. He's crying again. They're supposed to be
Wow.
taking his tracheotomy out next month. Phenobarbital, they're taking him off of that. So the neurologist that basically sent him home to die is absolutely stunned.
I would imagine.
Yes. Yeah. So we want to, we need help. All of us in this coalition has spent our own money, our own time. All of it has been our own efforts, and so we really need the people to come together now and help us. We have some things on the website. We have a crowdfunding site up on helpwarriorsnow.org. that you can contribute to get, just the funds we need, not only to get the trailer out here, but to pay for everybody to take care of these people. I mean, until the insurance companies start covering this, which could be close, but until then, we don't have the means. It's about $30,000 to restore one brain.
Wow.
And that's just with hyperbaric. That's not with all these other modalities we're talking about. So we really need help. I got a phone call yesterday, Randy, from a veteran, and he was a Green Beret for 20 years. Green Beret. I mean, this is
That's a pretty
talking
high level.
top of the chain, and he was so humble, And he said, "Janet, I need help. I need help, and I haven't been able to get any help. And I served this country for 20 years, and I just live with headaches, and I don't want to be here anymore." And I said, "Oh, hold on, just hold on." And now, just in that 20-minute conversation, we gave somebody hope again. We gave them their life back by just knowing that there's an answer out there. It just really brought tears to my eyes, and how many are out there right now in this dark place. I got to say, my veteran outreach coordinator here that works with us, he says every time I pick up the phone, another one of my comrades killed themselves. He's on 8 now, 8 of them. He was infantry. And he says, I can't cry anymore because there's nothing left in me. I don't know what to do. And so he came back pretty injured, and we've been helping him. But this is a call to action. This is a call to action. We have epidemic of diabetes, 1 in 4 dying of cancer. Heart disease is number 1 across the board, men and women. Obesity is about 34% of all the population is obese. Traumatic brain injury is not just veterans. Think about it. Think about NASCAR. Think about bull riding. Think about playground equipment. Do you know the number 1 cause of brain injury with women? You know what it is? Cheerleading.
Really?
Right, cheerleading. So, there's so many, and being an acrobat, I hit my head a lot. And my brother suffered concussion when we performed at the Hollywood Palladium. That was one of our last shows. And he was running all over the stage, completely out of it. And had a concussed brain for years. But I didn't know then what I know now. There's answers. There's answers. So we need to
share that with everybody.
Yes, we do.
Just to be able to give hope is an amazing thing. How do you feel when that happens? When you have the answer for somebody and you can help them find some hope and maybe change their life around?
That's a big question, because it wasn't for the former secretary that said, hold on, because he passed away of cancer. But he said, hold on, Jan, because you have all these doctors that have seconded their houses and they've done everything to put the money on the table.
Yeah.
And we're in Vegas, they put it all on the come line expecting to change history, and they did. So he said to me, we need your help, we need your marketing, we need your heart, we need your story. My babies were in hospitals on and off for 14 years. That does something to you, And so I've wanted to quit a couple times because it's been very, very hard. I gave up my career to do this. And it's been, I've been strangled and I've been beat up, and these veterans don't know what they're doing, so I don't blame them. It just shows me how much help they need, and God has sustained me. So you asked me that question. Baby Christopher kept me alive recently because this kid just fights. He had an infection recently from a cold, just a basic cold, can kill him. So he was in ICU last week, and he survived. So I look at this and I think, if we don't do what we do, sharing this information, Christopher probably wouldn't be. And every time someone passes away, that's a brother or sister, a mother, a father, a cousin, a friend. We must come together and love, number 1, God, and restore this country back to its incredible roots. And that's why I'm doing this.
My
to bring it
goodness.
full circle.
So you obviously need help,
Yes.
and if you're out there, once again, the website is
helpwarriorsnow.org. We have a couple projects going on. We have the crowdfunding site. We're also creating a vintage flag where organizations or individuals or companies can sponsor a stripe for $2,000 or a star for $1,000, and this flag will be hung up at our centers. and your name will be on these plaques, and they'll be honored as being our founding members, because we're just launching the centers right now.
Oh, very
So
good.
one of the first interviews I've had that we're ready to go. We're ready to take it to the next level and open up our first center.
Now, for those that don't know about crowdfunding, how does you can put in any amount, right?
Any amount
Yeah.
from 50 cents to whatever you want. We're in the process of raising the first 30,000, and that would really help get everything finished, getting everything set up, and helping baby Christopher and start treating some of these veterans that I have to send to California right now. So that would help a lot. If anybody wants to do a fundraiser for us, please call me. You can get our number on the website, helpwarriorsnow.org, and we can discuss a biker's run, or I'm doing a lot with different, I can't mention the company's name yet because we haven't gone public, but I got some big companies in Nevada that want to take a percentage of all sales and donate it to us.
Very good.
You know what I mean? So, and you can sponsor a vet. Sponsor a vet like we do with these kids overseas.
Yeah.
And it's $30,000 to sponsor a vet, but that interaction, I remember a retired Navy SEAL said to me, if you can do that, if you can bring the citizens together back with the military, it'll be a miracle in this country. It'll be, and he's a SEAL, so he doesn't cry, right? And he just had these little tears, and he said, you can bring that back because we lose that a lot of times when we serve. It's just so brutal out there, So, and I need to tell everybody, I dedicate this whole thing to my family. My 4 boys were very sick. I had a brain injury child and a son that was born with there was no name for his condition. His skin would just come off in my hands.
Oh my goodness.
Had to carry him on a pillow on and off for about 7 months. And his eczema and his asthma, he was pronounced dead at 8 months. He was helicoptered to Children's Los Angeles. And I'll never forget, you asked me this before the show, what is that defining moment, or what is that, reason we do this? I said to God, save my children, and I'll dedicate the rest of my life to paying it forward. And I've done that, and it's been really hard. But I know the president is very supportive of veterans. He knows what we're doing now, and so we need to take action if we're going to have a military. We really need to take action. So anyway, a lot of stuff.
Well, God bless you, Janet, for what you're doing, and it's what an amazing cause that you're a part of.
Yeah, it's I think it's more than a cause. It's a way of life.
Yeah.
And I feel like now that I've not just 12 years, I've dedicated 30 to doing the work I do because of my children. And I just recently got my doctorate in theology, and sometimes you don't realize people are watching you.
Right.
I don't do it for that, but people they see you sometimes, and they're like, you know what? You just need to acknowledge the fact that you care. And I put it out there to everybody to pay it forward over the next 2 weeks. Like, you go through even Starbucks and you're buying a coffee, get one for the one behind you, or just do something to help somebody. And if we could start this, remember the movie Pay It Forward made a big impact on me.
Yeah, me too.
And I want to start that again. The name of my for-profit is Pay It Forward Network. .net is the website. But Pay It Forward is really the human thing to do. It's human dignity. We're getting ready to go to different countries with Hyperbaric. We've been invited to come to the Philippines. We've been invited to come to Greece and Kenya and help with those babies down there with AIDS and things. We've been invited to come to Australia. So this country, these experts are right here in your backyard. And so we all need to come together and help our fellow American. Because that's
absolutely. So once again, now, send some money. They need it badly. And
yes, we do.
The website, once again?
The website, thank you, Randy, is helpwarriorsnow.org. Again, that's helpwarriorsnow.org. And the number is 800-206-1082. Just ask for Janet or Barry, and we'd be more than happy to talk to you. And any veterans out there that are in trouble, please call us. It's a miracle what's happening with our vets right now. We have veterans you can talk to that have gone through this. And we're really excited, to have been invited to align with Godspeed Magazine out of San Diego.
Wow.
They're going to be doing a feature story on us and an ongoing editorial every month about where we're going and what we're doing, and we're getting to the churches. And so Godspeed Magazine is fantastic because it's really about God in action, what God's doing all over the world. And Jeremy is just a beautiful man with a beautiful cause. And so I put it out there. Let's just, the churches, by the way, they're some of the sickest places I've been. And I've been, keynote speaking for years. But the churches can treat their own. They can have their own hyperbarics. They can have their
That's a
own
good
little,
idea.
I went to a church in Colorado, 35,000 members. And it was a beautiful place, but they can have their own center there. So we're offering you, the listener, to call us and we can come build a center for you. We can align with you. We can collaborate with your wellness center. Whatever you need, we can bring these advanced modalities to your city and help our veterans as well.
Absolutely. Now, Janet, for someone that's listening to you and they're just thinking, I need a treatment like that, talk to us about the expense of it. How expensive is it?
Well, it's becoming a wider range. Originally, they were about $300 a treatment.
But you need lots of them. You need multiple treatments, right?
You need, well, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Joe Namath has had 180 dives.
Yeah.
Claire Bear was a famous wrestler out of Florida. He was in bed 2 years in the dark because he would get migraines just coming in the light. 200 concussions he had in the ring. And he's been treated and he's completely restored. So that took probably 80 to 100 dives. So it depends on the person, and it depends on, like I know Mark Westaway, he has a nonprofit down in Mission Viejo. So the nonprofit side, he'll take a donation. He tries to get at least 80 because that's the cost. That's the raw, between 80 and 100 is raw cost. But then some of your doctors that are getting reimbursements are all the way up to $650 a dive they pay. So it depends on, the range, if it's the medical community or if it's a nonprofit. With us, our goal is to either sponsor a veteran. Our goal is to have every veteran that walks in the door be treated for free.
Yeah, wouldn't
That's
it be
our
fabulous?
Goal. It needs to happen. It needs to happen.
Oh,
So.
that's really good. Well, you're an amazing person, and
Thank you.
like I said, blessings upon you. But
Thank you.
when you were an acrobat, I'm sure people out there are looking at you and they're saying, she was an acrobat. What did you do? What was your specialty?
Aerialist.
You'd fly through the air.
I flew through the air, and I remember when I was 4, my mom put me in, started tap, and I was in a lot of contests, and then I did ballet. Everything should be ballet, but then I was bored because I'm a chance taker. Can you tell? And so I told my mom, I want to start flying. I want to be in the air. I want to do flips.
Your whole family was doing
So
this,
I
right?
started first, and then my
Uh-huh.
brothers joined me when I was 7, and then we did a lot of shows together, a lot. And then my brother got hurt, and I went on my own about 15, 16. I came to Vegas here, and I tried out for the Tibor Rudis dancers in the Tropicana, and I made it. And then he sent me to Nassau, Bahamas, and I danced there, and then I was sent up to Montreal. But I was only 15 years old, 16 years old.
Wow.
But my father was, he was Jack LaLanne, just looked like him. He was black belt in judo, and he raised me right. I just wasn't a problem child. I was disciplined, and my father loved me more than life. So at that time, Randy, I think it was, I never wanted to let my parents down, so I didn't get into trouble because there was
it
a
a
big
different life,
respect,
Yeah.
So when I traveled, he trusted me because he used to be a baseball coach, and he said, if your brothers ever got the opportunity to be drafted, could I ever say no? So I trust you at the age of 15 to go and do this, and I just never gave him reason to not believe in me. So I traveled a lot until I got hurt, and then I wrote a show that I don't know if you have time to talk about, but I wrote a Broadway show for this mission. It's called
Wow.
Forever Dreams for America. It's launching within the next year. I have 28 people in my cast. It's a cross between Las Vegas, Broadway, Cirque, and Disneyland. It's a story of America from the beginning. My son composed the whole show, 12-piece composition. And it has 3 and 4D mapping, so we're not going to have any scenery. It's all going to be lighting. And we're going
Wow.
across the country to introduce this to America, and our experts will be there with us.
My goodness, what
Yeah.
what don't you do? You do it all.
Well, I just needed to have all these outlets to
Absolutely.
touch all these people, so I got really
Absolutely.
creative. You have to.
Well, you have touched me, and I'm sure you've touched everybody that's watching right now. But
Thank you,
Janet,
Randy.
thanks for being with us, and I wish we had more time. We could talk for an
Went
hour,
fast.
but yeah,
It
goes
goes
really fast. But thanks for
you.
being with us, and
Thank you. Thank
we'll see
you.
you next week, same time, same station. Bye bye, everybody.